Go retweet it.
Oh.
So, guys, what do we think about jorts?
No.
I think I'm taking my cue from the Denim Daddy.
No. Just focus on retweeting and getting more eyes on this.
You know, everyone says John Cena is a jorts guy, but I have to be honest, I've never seen John Cena in jorts.
No, that's true. You can't see him.
Get out. You're done. No. Thanks for showing up.
Does everyone get it? Does everyone get the joke?
Everyone got it.
For people just tuning in, AJ wanted to talk about jorts because that's what we talked about on the Avs post-game show.
Did he?
He did.
We don't have anything else to talk about. Nothing else going on in Avs land, so we just have to talk about fashion.
just jorts.
You know. And denim. Just all denim all around. Waiting for some more people.
I like that you couldn't say it.
I don't. I just don't like it.
So funny.
I don't like it.
Do we feel like Eric Weedham has worn jorts earnestly at some point in his life?
1,000%.
Do you mean this week or just ever?
I was going to say, it was probably called the 90s for him.
All right.
Against the word jort? Can I just...
that's fine.
We have what I assume is a listener from not in America asking us here. What's a jort?
Oh, he was on the Avs post game, so he didn't understand that.
Victor knows.
Victor.
Are you sure? It's jean shorts for men. Or no, it's like jeans. It's like jeans that you cut, right?
No, it's just jean shorts. That's why it's jorts. Yeah. It's a combination of two words.
Denim shorts.
Most of the time, jorts come from having long jeans and you cutting them into shorts.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble and this brilliant intro, but he admits that he knows what jorts are. So.
Okay. WGT Golf is the official gaming partner of DNVR, and they are the most popular golf game in the world. It has become so popular that we had to open a third DNVR clubhouse. Each of those clubhouses holds 250 people, so stop missing out. Join in on the fun and download WGT and join the DNVR 3 clubhouse by going to DNVRgolf.com. We have tournaments with the DNVR community every weekend. One starts tonight at 8 p.m., so don't forget to go to DNVRgolf.com to download that today. Welcome into the Denver Sports Podcast, presented by the one and only Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer at DNVR. I don't have a Breck Brew on me. I'm so sad. Oh, Drew, I'm jealous.
I'm gonna hide my other company.
God damn it, Vogt.
Damn.
The sincerity and passion of that, I really appreciate it.
I deserve it.
I'm disappointed. I'm your host, Allie Monroy, and with me today, I've got AJ Haefele, Brendan Vogt, Drew Creasman, and RK. It's been a jam-packed day for Denver sports, starting with the Broncos training camp this morning, then the Nuggets final game before playoffs at 11:30 a.m., then the Avs at noon. Now we still got the Rockies at 6:40 p.m., but we've got to start off with the Colorado Avalanche, who just beat the Arizona Coyotes 3-2, giving them a 2-0. You distracted me with your golf takes, Ryan. 3-2. They beat the Arizona Coyotes 3-2 to give them a 2-0 series lead in the first round of the playoffs. So exciting. How was the DNVR bar, Ryan?
It was amazing. The Avs, go and just play a terrible game and come out on top. But I guess that's what happens when you play a team that went 33-37-8 in the regular season. That probably didn't have any business being on the playoff ice with the Avs in the first place. So it was awesome. The only sad part is that Andre had 3 bets that all could have hit if Cale Makar made that full ice empty netter that missed by a quarter inch. He would have had the over in the hockey game, the Avs -1.5, and Nathan McKinnon to get 2 points or more. That was the Andre was screaming bloody murder after that. Everyone in the bar was very confused why he was so sad. about that. But so that was the one downside. Other than that, it was a fantastic atmosphere here at the DNVR bar.
I gotta say, that's the hardest part about betting is when something like that happens. The Avs won, but yet like Dre's like screaming upset. That was Ryan the other night with the Rockies winning the game, but allowing, the Diamondbacks to score
5
more
runs in
runs.
the 9th inning.
Yeah, that was garbage. Why would you bring up something like that in front of me?
Ryan was mad for the rest of the night, even though the Rockies won. It's such a weird dynamic when you're betting on your favorite teams. But like you mentioned, RK, we talked about it a lot on the Avs post-game show. AJ, you guys said that it was a sloppy game for a lot of guys, but a win is a win, but it was sloppy.
Yep. True. Well said.
Would you like to elaborate?
Just taking my own words and giving them back to me. It was well said. I'm with you.
It was on a different podcast, so I'm
with
you
being with me. It wasn't a great game. They really didn't play very well. It was probably a C-level game from them. Easily the worst game that they've played in the bubble, and they still won a playoff game. Which tells you a lot about Arizona and a lot about Colorado and a whole lot about why everybody else should be real nervous about these guys. You're seeing Vegas is struggling a little bit with Chicago because they've got a whole bunch of guys that have won Stanley Cups that are turning back the clock a little bit. But they're still scraping by, and they're up 2-0 in their series. Colorado's up 2-0 in their series. I mean, there are two really good teams out west, and then there's everybody else. So,
does process matter, AJ? Like, I'm thinking if you're the Nuggets, people would say, okay, you won those first 2 games, but you didn't look very good. How do we project that into future rounds? I mean, if you're the Avs, you're this talented, are you just looking to get through the round, or do they need to see themselves kind of firing on all cylinders?
Well, I mean, they smoked them in Game 1.
Right.
Game 1 was about as big of a statistical beatdown as you're going to get outside of it taking them until the third period to start scoring goals. It's just that they all happened in 90 seconds. And then, with today, it was a little bit more of a grinded out process where, hey, you have to nobody ever plays their best game every day. And this was the best Arizona had to give. And in knowing that you're probably not going to see it again tomorrow, and you'll probably see something better from Colorado. So you're already feeling like the Avs are walking in with every advantage into Game 3 tomorrow afternoon.
Do you think the Avs kind of like got their back-to-back game out today almost? Like they got away with, low energy, and they're going to actually come back and play a little faster tomorrow?
I definitely don't think it was a low energy game. I think they played a poor defensive game, but I thought they were pretty good offensively. They created a lot of quality chances pretty much throughout the game. A couple of things, McKinnon lifts a puck over Kemper's pad on that crazy one-man army show that he put on. Val Nichushkin, actually uses his hockey stick to hit a puck and doesn't have hands of stone. There's a couple of things here and there that you change throughout, and Colorado has 4 or 5 goals. And, they offensively, I don't think they need to change much. Arizona still hasn't proven the ability to stop them from doing mostly whatever the hell they want offensively. Defensively, though, Arizona definitely took them to the woodshed a little bit today. Pulled them apart and really ripped that structure that they had in Game 1 into little pieces. Colorado's puck management was bad. Way too many unforced errors, though. They made life way too easy for Arizona today. They can't do that tomorrow. They can't do that in Game 4, Game 5, whatever. However long the series goes, they have to manage the puck better. And if they just accomplish that one single goal, everything else falls into line, and this is probably over on Monday.
Right, and that was kind of my question, is like almost like this was a little bit of a wake-up call for them in that regard. And while you might expect that on the second half of a back-to-back, do you think that maybe they're a bit more sharp with the puck tomorrow in the defensive side?
I'm worried. I mean, if I'm Arizona, I'm real nervous just that Nathan McKinnon is looking the way that he is. Because when a superstar has it turned up to 100 like that, and they couldn't do anything about him, they were all patting themselves on the back. Oh, yeah, the 0 shots on goal. Ah! And then game 2, he comes out and 3 minutes in scores a goal and was like, "How you feeling now?" You know, like there's like Nathan McKinnon is locked in. He's the best player left in the league that's still left playing. He's probably on the best team out west, and he's pissed and driven. And the guy's an obsessive maniac when it comes to winning right now. That's all he thinks about. It's all he cares about. It's all he's after. I just think that alone should scare the bejesus out of Arizona, because as much as Taylor Hall is really good and Phil Kessel's really good, those guys just aren't quite on the same plane of existence as Nathan McKinnon.
AJ, on social media, it seems like people are most worried about Mikko and about Sam Girard. What do you think of their performances so far?
They've been kind of up and down, pretty uneven. I thought both were pretty bad today, and that should scare Arizona too.
Yeah,
that 2 of Colorado's better young players aren't even playing well, and they're just humming right. They're humming right along. It's 2-0 in the series. What is Arizona's game plan at this point? What do you try and do? Okay, you had Nathan McKinnon with 0 shots on goal. He got 2 assists. You lost. Now Nathan McKinnon scores a goal, and the top line is kind of blah. You lost. What do you do? Honestly, like, what do you do? Like, Mikko Rantanen misses an open net that would have sealed it in the final minute. Didn't matter. Still lost. Arizona's catching breaks left and right with guys with the Avs just not being very good here and there, and Sam Girard having struggles moving the puck. Like, they've caught some breaks. You know, they had a bad break on the game winning goal, but other than that, a lot of the breaks in this game went Arizona's way. Mm-hmm. And it's 2-0 in this series. What do you do if you're looking at this from their perspective? Tactically, there's no adjustment to make. There's nothing that they can realistically do. You can't go out and add more talented players at this point. You just have to hope that Colorado Stars continue to underwhelm. If Mikko Rantanen wakes up, not only is this series ending on Monday, but it's ending in an embarrassing way on Monday.
Yeah, the one what you keep asking, what do? You book tickets to Cabo and make some tea times.
Cabo on 3.
Yeah, I mean, is Cabo letting people from the United States in? Because these dudes might just be straight stuck. Their season's going to end, and they're going to have to hang out in Edmonton because it's the safest place for them to be.
It's not a terrible place to be.
I was going to say, no.
It's Edmonton.
For King of the Game, AJ, you guys chose Nathan McKinnon, but you also said you would consider giving it to Grube. How do you think he's played?
He's been great. You know, there were some questions. Pavel Francouz has 2 appearances in the bubble. He hadn't given up a goal yet. It's probably why he'll play tomorrow. And there were some questions about Grubauer getting game 1. He has a 14-save shutout. Probably the easiest shutout of his life, to be honest with you. But he did it, and then today he was really, really good. When they absolutely needed him to step it up another level, he did. It's 2-0 in the series. Grubauer's done everything. I think he has a .933 save percentage since getting to the bubble. Like,
that'll work.
She's not gonna complain about that. If he has that over a regular season, the guy wins the Vezina. So, if you're gonna try and poke holes and pick apart Philip Grubauer, you're wasting your time.
So you do think Frankie will start in net tomorrow?
I would, yeah. You have full trust in Frankie. You're up to if this was a 1-1 series, maybe not, but you have the advantage of having essentially 2 number ones or goalies that you feel are 2 number 1 caliber. You go with that guy tomorrow, and you let Arizona run Darcy Kemper into the ground. Have at it. Good luck, dudes.
What do you think about me calling this the hot goalie summer?
I'm for it, for what it's
worth. Have it, man.
All right, cool.
I'm cool with that. I mean, you've got Jonas Corposalo doing something out east that we've never seen before, so I'm good with that.
All right. If AJ's down with it, you know it's good.
Hot goalie summer. Is that another shirt we gotta make?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. No, we have to prioritize the denim daddy first.
Oh.
It's a
I
tweet. It's a tweet
don't-
Arcade can send though for sure.
I
It's-
don't want a shirt
definitely-
that says Denim Daddies on it.
See, it's definitely a tweet that he can send that hasn't already been sent by 400 hockey writers.
Has it
Like
been done?
the-
Oh yeah.
Like the shoot tweet that he was super proud of the other day.
Oh, is
It
that one done?
had already been done by every guy who'd ever covered a hockey game.
Aw.
Big hit. in
And so
football
it was
Twitter,
just
though.
like-
Hit in football
RK's being called out.
That was in
Not
like
as unoriginal.
that was in like game 1 of the bubble. How was it already done?
Because the bubble had already been in place for 4 days and everybody had long been there, bud.
My problem is not that I stole it. My problem is I don't follow enough national hockey writers.
Which honestly, that's probably
For the
why
best.
you're a healthy human being. It's why you're a well-balanced individual.
Vote. I think the hot goalie summer shirt should be a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh,
You already know
100%.
I'm wearing it. You already know. That's just a matter of time.
Oh goodness.
It's just a bunch of Gru like standing on his head with flowers around him.
I need a third thumb, man. I'm all in.
All right, on Ryan, you talked about Andre's bets a little bit, but what about your bets? Did you bet on the Avs at all?
I had Avs in regulation, and I had Coyotes under 2.5 goals.
Beautiful.
If you can hear that in the background, it's the cash register opening.
Beautiful.
So did all of Andre's bets? What's the word? Not hit. What's
Lose?
the lose? There you go.
Yeah.
I
You'd have
wasn't
to.
sure if it was
What
as
is that
simple
word?
as that.
It's an
It's
Andre
not really
Luce's
possible to keep up with all of Andre's bets.
It's true.
You may have a.
Oh God, look at this hot goalie summer Hawaiian shirt. Pair that
Oh,
with
no.
some DNVR jorts. Sounds like a great look.
I'll wear that so fast.
That sounds amazing.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, you can join in on the fun with betting by checking out DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. They've got some great boosts and deals on Nuggets and Avs and Rockies, but this weekend they're offering new users the opportunity to bet $1 and win $252 when placing a bet on the big fight. UFC 252 has 2 of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the octagon this weekend. Right, who you got this weekend?
Cormier. I'm taking Cormier. Also, real quick, if someone out there wants to, make themselves useful right now, take the Denver Nuggets jeans video and turn that into the DNVR jorts video.
Oh my god. He's got
No.
the DNVR jorts on.
Don't make
drip.
yourself useful.
Look at the drip.
Don't do that,
That's a real
please.
stretch of the word useful, but I
It's Friday at 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a good use of your time right now.
Okay. Head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and check out all that they have to offer, including fighter props, round-by-round betting, and so much more. Like I mentioned, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code DNVR when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can bet that $1 to win $252 on this weekend's main event. Don't forget to use the code DNVR. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms and conditions and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Ryan leaves after telling people to make themselves useful. Really?
yeah, not a great look for our
It's like, peace, I'm done.
Do something useful. I'm out of here.
All right. Brendan, I almost called you Harrison. That's how my Friday's going.
Would have been an upgrade for me. So I'll take it.
Take it. Yeah.
A little glow up.
Yeah. I'm down to be win for the day.
Nuggets just finished their final game of the bubble regular season 8-game thing. I don't know. The Denver
Put that
is
on
taking.
a shirt.
I don't know that one.
No, that whole sentence. The 8-game bubble thing. I don't know.
Hang the banner, baby.
Denver will be taking on the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs starting on Monday. Brendan, how do you feel about this matchup? Obviously, this is what Michael Malone and the Nuggets wanted and were hoping for and playing for.
I feel great. So you guys remember in January the 7? That's what we've coined this game. The Nuggets were shorthanded. They were on their 4th back-to-back in like 30 days. It was Jokic and 6 other active players One of them was named Vlatko Chanchar, and 3 of them were former G League or 2A guys. So he went into Utah and dropped 30, 20, and 10 on the best positional defender's head. Then we get to that seeding game. Gobert comes out, and he's straight up wrecking Jokic in the first half. Is this a problem? Does Gobert have his number? No. Turns out Jokic just didn't care at all. Turns it on in the second half and buries him. And at the end of the day, I think the Nuggets have 3 of the top 5 most talented players in this series, with Jokic being a far and away one. Jokic being so good and such a tough matchup for Gobert, I think kind of mitigates that Gobert impact. And more to the point, Utah just does not have enough scorers. They're down Bogdanovich, so they're going to be looking to Mitchell to score a lot. We were debating on the show, like, do you throw Torrey Craig out there to slow him down? And my thought was, look, man, Mitchell can get 35 all night. Where are the other 70 points coming from? And so Utah's going to take a lot of threes. And look, even in that last seeding game, they hit most of them, and they still didn't win. So unless there's an unprecedented shooting performance, knock on all the wood, I mean, I think it's Denver in 5. I really do.
Wow.
I'm more confident than most in this matchup.
Denver in 4 is plus 700. I'm just saying.
Dude, why not? I say why not. I'm seriously. And, you know, the Nuggets are in a weird place coming out of this bubble because a lot of people are saying, well, they lost so many games and the defense didn't look good. And, I mean, guys, they were down starters. They were playing Bowl. They weren't trying to win. I mean, when the starters were out there together trying, they looked really crisp. And more importantly, we learned what we now know about Michael Porter Jr., which is he is ready. And that's just far more important than any seed or any other lesson. So on one hand, defense looks terrible. Will Barton's out. Gary Harris is out for the foreseeable future. On the other, you still think this team's ceiling is higher than it was at the start of the season because they've got a threat in MPJ, I think, that can just sort of change their projection in the postseason.
So you think we won't see Will or Gary in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say definitively, certainly not a report, but, I mean, you have to keep in mind that these guys have been straight up out on their injury report. Gary the whole way since practice 1, Barton since scrimmage 1, where he tried to give it a go, looked awful, and we haven't seen him since. So, not questionable, not day-to-day, out. And if you want to read into Malone's comments, not just the words, but the tone in his voice, does not sound like he's expecting them back.
Yeah,
that's a big blow. And just such a disappointment because those 2 guys are the longest tenured Nuggets and the guys I think diehards really wanted to see bounce back here.
And I think you also have to keep in mind, like, those guys haven't played with this team in, what, 4 months now?
Yeah.
And so how are you going to, just throw them into the mix on a team that's kind of found themselves in a new way? And, Michael Porter Jr. and his role on this team, like, if you were to just take out Michael Porter Jr. and throw in one of those 2 guys into the lineup, like, you're making a massive risk at throwing off what all the goodwill they've just built with each other.
I take it even further than that, RK. It's not just the starting lineup. I mean, if these guys are less than 90%, I think you just play PJ Dozier at this point off the bench. We know what those guys can do. We certainly don't know that they can bring that right now. The chemistry is an issue, but also, like, even if they do come back, they're hurting. And Will Barton, I think you have to admire that he was willing to come back. Is that you, RK? DNVR bar on Colfax, baby.
It's not me, but
no, okay.
That was the ambulance coming to pick up the Arizona Coyotes after Nathan McKinnon got done with them.
Yeah, so rough. Barton gutted it out last postseason, but he was terrible. So I think, our RK makes a good point. I don't know if you bring these guys back, even if they can go at this point.
Brennan, what do you say to the Nuggets fans who are really upset about kind of this team wanting to lose to get that 4th seed, but people are upset that they didn't watch their Nuggets like go out there and show energy, especially after seeing the Avs perform. I feel like it's just been different, and a lot of fans are upset. We've noticed that in our post-game show comment section. People want these guys to try hard and see that, and we haven't seen that at all.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I admire this about fans, this is fandom at its best. I mean, they operate in emotional vacuums. You sat down to watch the game today, you would like to see your favorite team play hard and win. I will never knock that. And to their point, last season we actually did see Malone throw a game. Just
I almost
straight
fell
up.
down the steps, so that's okay.
Careful. We need you to host the show. But we have seen Malone throw a game, so this is not beneath him. All that said, look, the Nuggets came into to Disney World. Jokic was late, right? Gary Harris was late. Now Gary Harris still hasn't gone. Will Barton got hurt. Jamal Murray tweaked a hamstring in practice on 4-on-4. So before any of these games started, Malone told us straight up, I do not care about winning these games. I will not push the starting lineup too hard to move up in seeding. So semantics, maybe I would push back and say, look, they didn't throw these games. They just weren't gonna get Jokic hurt trying to win them, and that's okay. And I just think, yeah, it would have been nice to see the starters giving it all they have, but they couldn't. And the next best thing was, okay, Bol's great. Turns out the young core is a younger core. MPJ, is he ready to go right now? Turns out he might be a star right now. So to me, lean on those things. Those are far more important takeaways from 8 seeding bubble games than, oh wow, did they beat the Clippers today? Because frankly, it just didn't matter. And I get that that's frustrating as a fan, but it's also the truth.
Ryan, before we started, someone asked, Jesus Christ, is Allie in a dungeon? No, I'm outside. I'm trying to
Opposite of
avoid
a
the
dungeon.
sun. He was literally making me orange. I'm not in a dungeon. Thank you for carrying, though. No one has done anything to me. He says, what the hell have you 4 done to her? Ryan, before we started the show, you read comments that someone made about Bol. What were those again?
Yeah, Paul Millsap said that Bol proved that he can be a superstar in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's an awesome quote. I mean, think about who is saying that. It's
Yeah.
Paul Millsap, not a guy known for electrifying quotes or hyperbole. And more to the point, like a 13, 14-year veteran in the NBA. So he's seen a lot. And, MPJ talks a lot. Like, they heard a lot about how good this guy was going to be before he got on the court. Paul Millsap was very quick to push back and rib him and let him know he hadn't done much yet. Now he's seen him play, and now he knows. So that's Barton, and that's Will Barton, too, now. This is, by the way, someone who might lose his starting spot to MPJ, who's come out and said, we got to let this kid be him because he's special. And the last time Barton told us that about a player, tried to tell us not to sleep, it was Nikola Jokic. So take that how you will.
Who did you guys have as your king of the game today, Vogt?
PJ Dozier, who has shown a good amount, an encouraging amount of play in these seeding games. I mean, he's got a quicker trigger finger, I think, than a lot of people would. Like, he's a backup guard, and he's definitely not a Monte Morris. 4 assists, 0 turnovers. PJ will shoot if he's open, and that's welcome in this seeding game environment. In the playoffs, maybe you'd like to see him be a little more prudent with that shot selection. But nonetheless, what you've seen now is a guy who fits into the long boy identity. Is my dog going off there? Sorry. He's tall. He can play defense. And if he can shoot, which is a big if, but we've seen it so far, then we're looking at a real player and not just a bench piece.
Oh,
This is
your
the
pup.
episode of the background noise.
Dog's just a big PJ Dozier fan.
Yeah, she's a huge Dozier fan.
She's real hyped on her.
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I think the bubble is all about Michael Malone, aka the Puppet Master. Once again, he drew the matchup that he wanted to. I mean, this is 2 years in a row that the Nuggets, down the stretch, for lack of a better term, I'm not making any accusations here, but threw games to make sure that they got who they wanted in the first round of the playoffs. And last year, it almost didn't work, but it worked. They made it to the second round. And in fact, they got the matchup they wanted in the second round, too. That one, they were just a couple 3-pointers in Game 7 away from that paying off, too. But I think it's amazing that 2 times in a row now, Michael Malone has been able to make this work and set it up to where the Nuggets are now playing a team that they did not lose to in the regular season this year.
And he did it all in a way that, we're able to talk about, wow, Bol and the younger core, wow, MPJ. So he cultivated and built excitement. But yeah, to be clear, while I'm not saying he necessarily threw any of those games, he was perfectly comfortable losing them, to RK's point. And so, yeah, I mean, it's effective. I don't love all the talk about avoiding the 7 seed Dallas Mavericks. I know it's one of the best offenses in basketball. Denver's defense at the moment is porous at best. But at the end of the day, I think going forward, I would just like to see the Nuggets consider themselves a perennial home court team, a top 3 team out west, and a team that, look, if you can manipulate your seeding, fine, but I don't care if it's Dallas, Utah, OKC, Denver, and 5. That should be their attitude, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get that, but I also think, like, on top of getting the team that they wanted, Michael Malone actually increased the morale of the team. Like, the Nuggets now believe they can beat the Lakers because they were before he just pulled everyone, and then they almost beat them without him. And they now believe that they can beat the Clippers because they were beating them or playing stride for stride with them until they decided they were ready to lose that one. So, like, it's not as if he hurt the team morale by being like, I don't really want you guys to play the Mavericks. He played it in a way where he's like, not only are we getting the team we want, but we can beat the teams that we're going to get next.
It's a great point. So when I do grades tonight, I won't talk about this game because who cares? I'll probably just hand out bubble grades, and I'm going to give one to Malone, which I don't always do. It's an A+. I think he nailed this. I think you made a good point there, RK.
Drew, AJ, you guys have been a bit quiet. Do you guys have any takes on the Nuggets before we move on?
I'm just thrilled that this stupid regular season nonsense is over and we can get to the basketball that the bubble was set up to play.
Yeah, I'm ready for the real stuff. But I do think it's really interesting that this debate is happening with the Nuggets right now. Like, Greg Popovich did this for years and was like lauded as a genius for it, and just sitting guys and purposefully losing games and manipulating his seeding, and it's just a smart thing to do. And like Vogt's been saying, you don't have to. There's a bad way to do it and bury guys and make them feel like you are trying to lose on purpose. And there's a way to do it that's much more about, hey, we're going to give experience to all these young guys, let the cards fall where they may. This is also just not something people worry about in baseball because there's literally a rule built in to do this. In September, they're like, you want to increase your roster but up to 40 people? Actually, they've gotten rid of that rule now. But for years, it's like, just bring up a bunch of AAA dudes, whoever you think's going to play next year, and throw them out there, sometimes in really important games, and let Sam Hilliard mess up the Milwaukee Brewers' chance to win the division just to do it, right? And it's like, it's just something that happens. And that, by the way, was another series where the Brewers lost the last game of the season on purpose because it meant nothing, and they had to fly back to Washington to play, and they were already exhausted by the Rockies. And because they didn't lose on purpose earlier, you can argue that may have impacted their ability. That the Washington Nationals might not have won the World Series last year if not for, this kind of the Rockies weren't playing their A squad in those games. They were playing for next season, and it's a different version of this, but still the same idea, man. You've got to do the smart thing for your team at the right time. And Vogt's right. Like, I don't want to get down on fans that are like, we wanted to win today. You always want to win today, but that's why I try to take so much pleasure in all the little things in the game and watching the young guy take the strides forward and seeing those improvements and envisioning how they're going to fit with the team as they move forward. And you figure here with the Nuggets now, they've got an opportunity to put what they've learned here together with what they know they have and do something special.
We've got someone in the comments saying, did the Avs care who they played in the first round? And I think hockey is just very different. Hockey playoffs is just very different than NBA playoffs when it comes to seeding and that type of thing.
I mean, you care about matchups. It's the same concern. You don't want to run into the exact wrong matchup for you. But out west this year, there isn't a wrong matchup for Colorado. They're better than all of these teams, so it just doesn't matter to them.
And it's a little different in the sense that, like, with the Nuggets, the fear is Luka and the Mavericks shooting the three-point ball so well. It's a little different in hockey in the sense that you're not going to be so scared of one guy. Like, in basketball is the number one sport where one guy can really change a series, maybe even a couple guys. Like, you look back at the Nuggets matchup with the Golden State Warriors that year when they won 60-whatever games. It was... That was the wrong matchup. They couldn't defend the three-point line, and it was almost the birth of the Splash Bros, where you had Clay and Steph just raining threes down. Like, you could have had a similar scenario. You probably should be so confident that it doesn't matter, but in my opinion, it matters a little bit more in basketball. And also, to be completely honest, from my position, the Avs are also a little bit better than the Nuggets. You know, they were playing for a 1 or 2 seed, and when you're that high, you really shouldn't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly outside of a goaltender and a Connor McDavid level of player, like teams are looking at Colorado like, dear God, please no. We would rather take our chances with Vegas and their guys than mess with Nathan McKinnon. Like when you have that guy, you're the team everybody's afraid of. As the Nuggets further establish themselves this year, next year, especially as MPJ continues his rise, they become that team that somebody's trying to game their way around. And they may not be there right now. They might still be getting cute with this, but that's fine. Like you're trying to win playoff rounds. You're trying to win a championship. You're trying to increase your chances of getting through rounds. You can't be so arrogant as to just be like, oh, I don't care about any of these matchups ever at any point. You know, that's just not realistic.
And with Malone, to RK's point, not just with the results, but also process. Like, if you know this guy, is the concern that he doesn't have a winning mentality or isn't interested in cultivating that? Of course not. Of course not.
Right.
All right, well, the Rockies, Drew, let's move on to you. They haven't been doing as well since the last time we spoke. Haven't been bad, but they have lost a few more games than before.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Diamondback series?
Well, that was a weird-ass series, wasn't it? Look, that's going to happen sometimes. It's going to happen at Coors Field. It was a unique combination of things. Some of it was that the Rockies pitching faltered at the exact wrong times. Some of it was that the Diamondbacks brought a really good contact approach into Coors Field, and they've got a lot of guys who both have just hit well at Coors Field in their history and hit well against Rockies pitching and just are good hitters, especially they're kind of top 5 guys. And they also got a lot of pure dumb luck. That's something we're getting better and better at being able to measure in the game of baseball, and we can take a look at like exit velocity off the bat. And they had just an extraordinary number of hits that drove in runs that were less than 85 miles an hour off the bat, which is just weak as hell. The one that drove John Gray from his game, from his nightmare of an outing that was a blooper into center field, was at 66 miles an hour off the bat. So,
like the very definition of weak contact.
Yeah. They really weren't out there hammering the ball into the gaps and knocking it over the wall. And so that suggests a couple of things. One, that should balance out a little bit. And two, that the Rockies have a small adjustment to make from a pitching standpoint. They need to miss a few more bats. Maybe take a look at how they're playing their outfield defense in particular. But it shows you that this losing stretch isn't something you want to be super concerned over. All of these games came down to, an inning that went the wrong way entirely, and it can happen. But when it's one guy in the bullpen totally imploding, that's a problem you can work around pretty easily in baseball by having that guy work through his issues and just not putting him out there in the meantime. So I'm not concerned about this little stretch. The Rockies are still at first place in the NL West. The starting pitching has remained good through this, with the exception of the blip of John Gray. And again, there was a lot of bad luck in there. And so, and Nolan Arenado's gotten hot. Ryan Maltapia's come out of his slump. Maybe Ryan McMahon's starting to come out of his. We'll see. I know David Dahl will come out of his. I am certain of that. And so there's just a lot of untapped potentials. There's like AJ said something really interesting earlier about how you can't play your best game every time out, and the Rockies haven't played their best game yet. And a couple of these ones that they lost were, I think, among the worst you're going to see them play throughout the season, especially that finale against the Diamondbacks that just totally got away from them, where the Arizona scored 8 runs in the 8th inning. Like that's not going to happen again. And because of that, I think there's just so much more in the column of, like, if you're looking at problems that need to be solved, there's some stuff in that column. But if you're looking at good things that are still untapped, that are left out there to happen for the Colorado Rockies, there's a long list of stuff in that column. So I think they're going to be okay.
We got to talk about. We got to talk about.
Love this kid.
Tiny Baby! Yeah! He's here! Tiny Baby! Yeah! Tiny Baby!
That video is literally never gets old. It's just the cutest thing in the world. But he's right. Charlie Blackmon has been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's on a ridiculous stretch. You're talking Barry Bonds numbers, but there's an interesting asterisk that can come with Barry Bonds numbers. I prefer to think we're really talking Stan Musial numbers to start a season. We've never seen anything like this since Stan the Man. He's hitting 472 through 18 games. That's absolutely insane. Slugging 681, so he leads the league in batting average, on base, and RBI with 20, with hits and 34. Absolutely ridiculous. Went on a stretch there where he had 6 straight games with more than 1 hit. Like, the guy's been absolutely unreal, and this all comes after he didn't have a full summer camp. He really only had 5 games after, remember, testing positive for COVID-19. The guy's taking care of his body in an incredible way. He's crushing left-handed pitching. He's hitting at home. He's hitting on the road. There's no way to parse it out and actually this thing right now, Charlie Blackmon is clearly and easily the runaway first place power ranking member for the National League MVP.
And
people are making some money. Yep, there we go. People are making some money off of Charlie Blackmon right now and his just hitting.
Yeah, well, he's the favorite right now on DraftKings Sportsbook to win NL MVP at plus 600. And they also just put something up today. I'm curious your thoughts on this, Drew. Charlie Blackmon plus 400 to hit over 400 this season.
Wow. It's
4-1
it's really not outside the realm of possibility. I think I saw something before he went over in the last game that he had to hit about 360 the rest of the way to do that. And like, that just doesn't sound like the most insane thing to have happen. Like, it would feel rightly like he's cooled off if he hits 360 the rest of the way, but that would still leave him out. So I don't know that. I mean, it's I wouldn't go all in on this thing, but
those odds aren't quite friendly enough, I think. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much working in his favor. This next stretch is going to be really telling because the Rockies don't have another off day now until like early September. It's going to be a minute. You know, he did go over, like I said. If he goes into a little bit of a slump, that totally destroys you, and guys typically do. And so I'd be scared of it, but I don't think it's impossible. He's locked in. He knows what he's doing out there. Guys also aren't throwing as deep into games. Remember, not everyone is playing. More people have opted out. He also only has to see the pitchers from the West. He's not going to randomly walk into a Jacob deGrom game. And that kind of stuff takes down your batting average and your numbers in years. And rookies talk about this all the time. I remember DJ LeMahieu telling Patrick Lyons and I one time that he would rather face Clayton Kershaw than like a random just rookie for the Cincinnati Reds that they've never seen before, because they go up against Clayton Kershaw 2 or 3 times a year. And by now they know what he's got. And if he's going to beat him, he's going to beat him. But he's not going to surprise them. And they hate that. You know what I mean? And so Charlie is only going to have to hit against the NL West and the AL West for the entire year. And I think that's also to his advantage. The fact that he can DH and take those days off in the field is to his advantage. So, yeah, throw a little
sprinkle.
Sprinkle on there. Go for it. I might throw a little down on there.
Can I address this? I just want to address this comment. I'm sorry. I like how the Nuggets suck, which bumps them all the way up to the confidence of Jazz in 7.
I know.
That's
I
good to
thought
know.
that too.
I just want to say that tells you all you need to know.
I'm so glad you said that because I had the exact same thought. Is you can judge where a series is based on how many games the team's own fans believe they can win the series.
The Nuggets are terrible. The Jazz might win in 7. God, it's not convincing. Sorry.
We don't like you for your Nuggets take, but we
hilarious.
do like you for your Avs takes.
Yeah, welcome to the
Long-time
family.
Avs guy.
It's okay that you're a Jazz fan. I'm sorry.
It's okay. They put the Jazz in those Rockies commercials, which so.
Ask
so I
him
guess
about
those
Garrett
are
Bowles
weird.
next. Let's get
Yeah,
real
right.
weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about Devontae Booker?
With that, if you like free things, you should check out Green Mountain Dental Group because they are going to offer you
Transition.
a free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam at Green Mountain Dental Group. Besides the free electric toothbrush, Green Mountain Dental Group is family owned and one of the best dentists in Colorado. Our sales director, Lindsay, got her wisdom teeth removed from there, and she said it was one of the best dentist experiences she's ever had. Plus, they're all diehard Denver sports fans, and supporting them really helps support us. So don't forget to schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam at Green Mountain Dental Group and receive a free Sonicare toothbrush today. Not all of us are as good at transitioning as Rudo is. Well, that's what you're used to, AJ, so I know. I apologize. I can't turn a random conversation into balls and Manscaped.
Yeah,
Just
that's
the
really
snap of a finger.
That's what he does. He's not so great at transitions as he is at trying to turn conversations into ones about balls. Yeah.
It's just always people just now associate Rudo with Manscaped, and I think Manscaped should hook him up a little more
I
because
was gonna say there are worse things for your brand. I gotta work on that a little bit.
Oh God! All right, well, the last topic of the day is Broncos.
What?
Broncos
way.
training camp.
I didn't even know this was happening today.
Yeah, they
Most
really
people
didn't do a
didn't.
good job, like letting the world know that Broncos training camp did start today at 8 a.m. We had Mace out there at Dove Valley. RK, what were a few things Mace told you that you love to hear? What's the number one thing that stood out to Mace that got you so hyped?
Well, come on. We've known this was coming for a while. I've been telling people this since the second that he became a Bronco. But Jerry Jeudy shined very bright at the very first Broncos training camp practice today, and that should not shock anyone. But what may come as a little bit of a shock is, Vogt, all of the things that you said about Paul Millsap and his quotes are true of Kareem Jackson. He's a wily veteran. He's over 30 years old. He's been in the league for a long, long time. He doesn't often give you a spicy quote. And after practice today, Kareem Jackson said, quote, Jerry Jeudy gets in and out of his breaks better than anyone I've ever seen. No, not any rookie he's ever seen. Not anyone he's seen recently. In 10 years in the league, he's never seen someone get in and out of his breaks as good as Jerry Jeudy. And by the way, he played with a guy over in Houston by the name of DeAndre Hopkins. You may have heard of him. So, I'm so happy this happened because I've been trying to say this for so long, and people just don't believe it about a rookie. But the truth is, Jerry Jeudy walks into the NFL as a top 10 route runner at worst, in my opinion. So I'm so glad that these players can finally, see this firsthand and speak on it because it's truly otherworldly what Jerry Jeudy can do with his feet. And so it's awesome to see that Jerry Jeudy was out there balling today. I will say the one problem I have with it is that a lot of his work was against the second team. And I just don't know what the Broncos are doing, wasting Jerry Jeudy reps on second team. First of all, it's not fair to them to have to be second team guys to have to cover Jerry Jeudy. But it's also just a waste. Football teams do this every year where they say this rookie's got to earn his spot. It's like, no, man, you drafted him in the first round. He is your number 2 wide receiver across from Cortland Sutton. Don't kid yourselves. Don't make him play with the second team. Let that man go do his job.
And Mace mentioned earlier today on our Broncos show that Drew Lock threw an interception, and it was because he was eyeing Cortland Sutton down. and he's no one else to really throw to. So that's why you put Jerry Jeudy up there in the first team reps. It's very weird to have him down in that second one, besides just it being just ritual.
Yeah, exactly. It's ritual. I mean, and I'm sure Drew Lock could have thrown to, like, I don't know, Noah Fant or Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay out of the backfield. But the point does stand. Like, there's no reason for Jerry Jeudy to be running with the twos.
Sports teams are so stupid, dude. This is the stuff that they do. Like, it was so refreshing when Cale Makar left college, and then they just dropped him in, and they were like, "Here, go play 20 minutes."
Yeah.
And it was like how frustrating was it with MPJ this year, where it was like,
Just gonna say,
this guy is so obviously better than Torrey Craig. Can we stop with this, please? For the love of all that is holy, can this stop? And it's so obnoxious to watch sports teams across all spectrums do this, where you're just like, really? You're gonna like make him like earn it? Did he not earn it when you used the 15th pick on him? Like, you could have used it on any of those other guys that went after that. You used it on him. He earned it. Just give him the damn job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be his in 4 days anyway. Why are we wasting this time?
I know. And, like, you've literally got Kareem Jackson saying he gets in and out of his breaks better than anyone else he's ever seen in his life. And the Broncos are like, yeah, he's a 4th receiver right now. But maybe later he can be the number 2. The worst one was last year with the Broncos and their quarterbacks. They had Kevin Hogan as the 2nd string quarterback for like weeks. It wasn't just a couple of days. They were like, yeah, Drew Lock's really got to earn this. It's like, come on, guy. Like, Drew Lock might as well be the starter, let alone the 3rd string quarterback. It is a weird thing, and I feel like football is the most guilty of it.
Yeah.
I tell you, there are some like the Avs with Martin Kaut this year. Like, he rolls in, he scores a couple of goals, and they're like, oh, we're so obsessed with his contract situation that the Avs are going on a Stanley Cup run. That dude is in Czech Republic right now. And it's like, you couldn't have just brought him right just in case you had an injury and you guys are trying to win right. You guys are just going to get you're going to get in your own way constantly to do this. You know, the Avs had 2 forward injuries today. We're going to see one of these AHL dudes instead of a Shane Bowers or even a Logan O'Connor. We're going to see TJ Tynan for the 19th time. And it's like,
oh, God.
like, why? You know?
Why do they do this? Why do coaches and like general managers, they always do this stuff? It's so stupid.
AJ's on a roll.
Oh my God, I just came into AJ like grunting. It was like first thing I heard in my headphones. I was like, is there a glitch? Is something happening?
Drew Baseball has a pretty bad one too, where they do the like team control, like, oh, we can't play this guy for the first 15 games.
Oh yeah, they'll like leave him in AAA and stuff. Yeah, baseball might be the worst about it, but it's also the most justifiable because like it really does take like a couple hundred at bats before you know anything about anybody, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. That's very rare in baseball that somebody just bursts on the scene. You're like, that kid's a star. He's going to be awesome. He's going to continue to be awesome. Just doesn't really work that way. And then when they have that great season, like Trevor Story did in 2016, right? And then in 2017, Trevor Story was terrible, at least for the first 2/3 of the season. And so, like, but yeah, they'll hold guys back, like, Chris Bryant is like suing the Cubs over this exact thing because they held him back for the first month, and everybody knew he was good enough to play in the big leagues, but you leave him in AAA because you gain an extra year of control at the end of the contract. The Rockies actually didn't do that with Trevor Story, and you know, in hindsight, it's going to cost them a lot of money. Yeah, it's going to cost them a lot of money, or that they're going to lose him a year earlier than they would have if they had played it how the Cubs did with Chris Bryant. And when you look back on 2016, where the Rockies finished several games under 500, not awful, but they were not competitive. They could have left Trevor Story out for a month. They didn't need him doing all that stuff at the time. So it's, you know, yeah, it's more justifiable in baseball, but that's because they built in dumb rules and because the game is just fundamentally built for people to go into slumps and stuff. But
well, and like the owners are like, they're so accustomed to their cheap labor and their like
Right.
ridiculous exploitation of players.
Yep.
That they're just like, service time manipulation. Yeah, why not? It's the last frontier of exploiting our players.
Right. It's like we're in a league where the reserve clause used to exist, where people were like literally treated like property for so long. It's like, yeah, they kind of get away with that. And that they've got an army of minor leaguers. That's one of the things that's really interesting about the shifting like minor league system, right? And that may be one of the pluses. I'm very disappointed about a lot of these teams going away. But one of the pluses of it may be that the owners don't have the ability to just be like, nah, well, I've got 50 dudes just hanging out in the minors, so if you slightly underperform, or if you're playing okay and I just don't want to pay you, I can get rid of you once you start to get expensive and just bring up some other dude. But yeah, they're pretty bad about that stuff unless you're Felix Hernandez or Andrew Jones or somebody like that, and then they just have to.
Right. What's the rest of the Broncos schedule this week? They play Sunday. They practice Sunday and then all of next week.
Yeah, just about. So this was kind of like the soft opening. Sunday they'll get a little more into it. Monday you'll start to really see a real training camp practice out there. And it is weird how this is happening. Like usually there's one thing that Broncos training camp is competing with, and it's baseball and the MLB. Like for example, like the first episode of Hard Knocks came out the other night. I'm a huge Hard Knocks guy. I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't watch, and I don't even know if I plan on watching anytime soon. It didn't get great reviews, so it's like this is crazy, and it's kind of refreshing today. Like it's a little silly how big of a deal the first training camp practice normally is, and like today it played fourth fiddle behind a meaningless Nuggets game.
For the audience listening, AJ just won't stop nodding his head. He's agreeing with it all.
So it's nice. I mean, too much is made of something would have happened today in training camp that would have been like a lead story, and it would have been silly. Instead, the lead story is that the Avs are getting ready, preparing the brooms. Maybe not quite yet, but they're making sure the closet is within reach. So I like it. Everyone knows I'm an all sports fan. And so I'm not, like football guy trying to fight for the goodwill of training camp. Like training camp it's practice. And so it doesn't
just practice.
It doesn't necessarily deserve front page of the news headlines.
We're talking about
practice.
Yep.
Yeah,
AJ.
we've got actual sports going on and not just practicing. It's so nice. August has never been cooler. This is the coolest August ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hot goalie summer.
Hot goalie summer. With that, we'll finish with the Avs play the second half of back-to-back tomorrow at 1 p.m. I believe there is a watch party at the DNVR bar later that night. The Rockies are playing, and then Sunday as well, the Rockies are playing. So definitely check out the
Every
DNVR
day for like
bar.
a month.
Yeah, the Rockies don't have an off day. So
Yeah.
you want sports? Yeah, this Thursday was like the first day in for the rest of the playoffs that there is going to be there was an off day for all teams.
Yeah.
People didn't know what to do with themselves. But all right,
That's what video games are for. Come on.
Golf.
golf. I quickly want to give a shout out to Ruth in Wyoming, who left us an awesome 5-star review on iTunes for the Denver Sports Podcast. Definitely go leave us ratings, comments, all of that. And I'll read your comment on here if you give us a 5 star. So
Nice bribery.
Check out thednvr.com. Go to the bar, get some merch. We will talk to you guys next week. Bye.